Hey, friends and family, how y'all doing? This is another edition of Markle and Sigler's movie and TV reviews. I am your host, Markle and Sigler, and I am here to talk about Stranger Things. Stranger Things 5. Its show is over. It just ended. I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you my reaction review to it. So if you haven't watched Stranger Things, I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. I will be getting to spoiler territory. I will probably talk about the whole series. I spent time. I watched it, and I spent time looking at whatever people said on Threads, Twitter. I know I still don't call it X, and Blue Sky, and then TikTok a little bit as well. So I kind of looked to see what other people were talking about because I'd heard people say things, and I was like, let me see what people actually saying. So with that being said, this has been the first minute. I'm just telling y'all what we gonna talk about. So I'm gonna give you a spoiler review. So you got five, four, three, two, one. So we in spoiler territory right now. Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all know that. And I have a different light, so I'll be adjusting it. Okay, I liked it. I do see some of the excuse me. I do see some of the complaints people have, and mainly it's the complaints about the last episode. I did notice that the mind flayer did look different compared to when we saw it earlier. I think it's season three. It did look different, and I was like, "This is giving me a It Spider vibe." I also didn't think about this, but I saw people complaining about this. I didn't. Why didn't they see the Demogorgons when they were in the abyss? This is where everything, all that stuff came from. So why didn't they see any of those? I did notice that. Some of the minor complaints people have, like, oh, well, what happened to Vicky? What happened to so and so? I don't care about that, man. She went on about her life and stuff like that. Probably the biggest divide is the whole thing with Elle. So if y'all don't know, Elle dies, or so we see. It's ambiguous, it's left open, because Will comes to the story in the end. No, not Will. Mike comes to the story in the end about how he believes that she was her sister Callie, and they came up, Callie's power of illusion to fake her death, and then she went off somewhere by herself to be happy, which makes sense. And then people complain about the military too, like when the military just disappeared from Hawkins after 18 months. I can kind of see that happening too. But I also know there's going to be a Stranger Things spinoff. Although what I'm hearing is the spinoff is going to be about the rock that Henry found, and I heard there's a Stranger Things play as well that basically where that shows how they knew Henry in high school, which was interesting. And I was thinking, wait a minute. So basically, all their folks knew Henry when he was in high school, but nobody like really put two and two together. So overall, I dug the show. But here's the thing, man. Stranger Things, I think it's suffered from, and I say suffering in a nice way. I think Stranger Things' problem is that too many people put too many expectations on this show. Now, I actually watched the video behind the scenes. They spent 224 days filming this season of Stranger Things. This was a lot of work on their part, y'all. So, I mean, I respect the craft and stuff like that. And I enjoyed it, man. The only thing I wish, the only legitimate complaint I think I have, I wish Erica, Priya Ferguson's character, could have got more lines. I feel like they gave more screen time to Holly, and that kind of decreased her screen time. But I also realized Priya Ferguson might have been shooting something else at the same time, because that does happen. So I was like, she's probably doing something else. I know she had that cartoon. My dad is a babysitter, and they were telling what else she was doing. So she could have been doing some other things at the time. So, but overall, the show was great. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm not in love with Stranger Things season one like a lot of people are. I'm not. I think I think Stranger Things season one is overrated, y'all. I really do. I really, really do. Season two, three, and four are probably the best. Then I put season five, and then season one. Because I mean, season one is just like people are so amazed by these kids and stuff like this, but I'm like, okay, all right, it's good, but it ain't as good as y'all make it to be. Season two, you know, especially when Bob died, I was locked in, and I felt that I like how Stranger Things introduces characters every year and gets you hooked on them to make you, and then they kill somebody. Like um, season three was Max's brother Billy, even though he was a bad dude from the get go, but he had a kind of redemption arc. And season four was Eddie. He died. And I know some people complain about Major. They said that even though Elle died, they played it safe. So and I think especially we're coming off of Welcome to Derry, where we see the kids on Stranger Things. I've been okay. You watch it, Welcome to Dare, you see them kids don't catch no breaks. Pennywise out to get them, and that's just what it's gonna be. These kids on Stranger Things have caught many breaks, and I'm gonna tell you who I think should have died. Honestly, is Steve. I think Steve, and I remember hearing somewhere that Steve was supposed to die in season one, and just like people liked him so much they kept him around. So but I think Steve should have been died. We had a second where he fell off the tower. I thought Steve was gonna die, but he didn't. You know. But you got to realize Stranger Things is about the Duffer Brothers' tale of the '80s, and the '80s is nostalgia for a lot of people, and I love the homage that this show played to the '80s and stuff like that, because it basically ends in '89, and they graduate from high school in '89. It's ending their childhood. I get it. They tried to try, and when somebody said to me it was good, this was a show not driven by plot points, but more character arcs and character growth. And you could see how the kids changed over time. And one thing that kind of used to infuriate me about Stranger Things, and I see people complain about season 5, I'm like, well, they go off on these different directions. They go off in different directions, and they all come. They've been doing that consistently. That would just be my biggest frustration with Stranger Things, is that you have these group of people doing all these different things, and they never tell anybody what they're doing. What I liked about this season the most is this is probably the most you saw the whole cast work together in Stranger Things. Yeah, they got separated, but at least they consistently talked to each other and they consistently shared information. And I really appreciated that. Now, of course, some things are unreal. Well, I say that's unrealistic. Like Hopper is like a super soldier, man. Hopper was able to take out trained military soldiers like with no problem. And then Mike's sister, Nancy was on that same thing. Although I realized she was on her whole Sarah Connor Terminator arc. But I'm like, come on. They are, I mean, and they acknowledge Nancy was such a good shot, and Nancy probably could have went into the military. They did acknowledge that. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, I'd watch it over again, and it's rare that I want to watch things over again. But I would watch things over again. But I would really just watch 2, 3, and 4, and then probably go into 5 and go back into 1. 1 would probably be the one that dragged me the most. I was like, all right, we see what's going on. 1 just didn't impress me. It was good. It just didn't impress me. To me, Stranger Things got progressively better season after season after season after season. Even in season 5, like I said, how they all work together, that was impressive to me. It was like that was progressive to me. So if I had to give it a ranking out of 5, I'd give this a 4 out of 5. Some people complaining, but I think he's complaining to be complaining. But I would definitely give this a 4. And then, like I said, and I would definitely want to rewatch some of this. If to me, if I want to rewatch it, it was good. If I don't want to rewatch it, it was okay. Like I ain't gotta watch this no more. And I've watched the other stuff, y'all, that I may or may not do reviews on. It was okay. I would just do a review just to be doing reviews just to have content. It's something I'm excited about. But I was excited about this, y'all, and I did enjoy it. So yeah, I think you should check out Stranger Things. Watch the whole series if you haven't. But in my mind, in my opinion, it goes. Season 1 is okay. Season 2 is better. Season 3 is better. Season 4 may be the best. Season 5 is good. That's how I rank it right there, and I think that's fair. And really, season 5 was so good is that you get to see the growth and just the progression of people, and like see how they move on with their lives and stuff like that. And it's a lot of adult conversations in season 5. I have to give them credit for that too, man. I mean, it's one of those I was like, man, I could think about this. I mean, it's a lot of just adult conversations. Like, how do we move on with life? Even a scene where, the older kids are talking like, oh, we're going to get together every month. That's BS, man. That's BS. But they say it because, they don't want it to end, but they've moved on with their lives. So this is another edition of Markless movie and TV reviews. Let me know what you think about Stranger Things Season 5. If you like it, let me know. If you hate it, let me know. I'll talk to y'all in the comments about it all day long. Wherever you see this video, make sure you like it, you share it, you subscribe, wherever you see it at, and I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.